People paying money to see me in a 20x20 ring.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of the 20x20 Ring Crew. I'm your host, Joe, and I am here with Matt. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, what's going on?
We are always watching wrestling in the background as we record the podcast, and we just so happen to be watching the first round of New Japan's New Japan Cup 2019. This has taken place on March 8th for those that are interested, and it's available on their streaming service, which you can get more information on that through us at 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. It's a fucking train wreck so far. We're on the second match, so the first match I have to talk to you about. It was Yoshihashi versus
Manabu Nakanishi.
Thank you. So in Nakanishi's up there. He's a veteran for sure. He's had multiple neck injuries.
He's 52 years old.
Yeah, he's got one of those Kurt Angle necks. Look.
He's a former Olympian.
Yeah, just look at the back of Kurt Angle's neck, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. But yeah. You don't expect a 50-plus-year-old man to attempt some of the things that he was trying to attempt. And on Yoshihashi, no less, he always seems to be hurt, especially his shoulder. I think he's had that shoulder injury nagging for like the past 3 years. Like, no bullshit. And there was a couple spots in the match where I was just hoping that Hashi would take the pin because he was about to get killed or destroyed in the ring.
Yeah, it got ugly pretty fast for him.
I mean, that over the top rope spot where he was supposed to dive onto the floor, he actually jumped over and onto the apron and then onto Yoshihashi. Oh my God, what a clusterfuck of a move. And then he went up to the top rope multiple times.
Crossbody,
that was fucking horrible to watch. Jesus. And now we're watching the second match of the first round, which is Taichi versus Honma. And Honma, he fell in a very awkward way and tried to sell a neck injury, although it didn't look like he injured himself. That was just bizarre.
Yeah, it's been a weird start to the tournament. I mean, of course, just like per traditional New Japan, you had all the tag matches.
Yeah, all the tags first.
Which those end up being entertaining for what you can get out of those type of tag matches. Taichi's about to rip his pants off. There you go. He's got trunks on. But yeah, it's been a really interesting start to this tournament. Night one, we're also going to see Tomohiro Ishii versus Yuji Nagata, and then Chase Owens versus Juice Robinson, as far as night one goes. But New Japan Cup. By this point, by the time you guys listen to this, the first round will be over.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it. Do you have a favorite? Do you have somebody that you think is going to run the table?
I don't know about run the table here, but.
Shall we at least name the first round matches?
Absolutely.
All right, so you got the four matches I said already. I'll repeat them. Nagata versus Ishii, Hanma versus Taichi, Nakanishi versus Yoshihashi, and Juice Robinson versus Chase Owens. You also got Kazuchika Okada versus Michael Elgin. Mikey Nichols, who I just found out was no longer working for WWE, and he's going up against Hikuleo, who is just recently coming back from a pretty bad injury that cost him almost all of 2018. Will Ospreay versus Bad Luck Fale. That should be an interesting one. Toa Henare versus Lance Archer. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Shota Umino, which kind of a gimme for Tanahashi. No other respect to Shota. He's a young lion. Hiroshi Tenzan versus Ryusuke Taguchi, which I find weird because Taguchi's a junior heavyweight.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know why he's competing because. Hold on, let me just finish.
Sure,
everything.
sure.
Yeah, I get ahead of myself sometimes. Here's a really big one: Kota Ibushi versus Tetsuya Naito. Another one I'm excited about: Evo versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Yes.
Togi Makabe versus Colt Cabana. Toru Yano versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. This is a really interesting one too: Satoshi Kojima versus Minoru Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
And to round it out, Hiroki Goto versus Sonata, which is also going to be a hard-hitting fight. This is the winner of this tournament is going to the G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden to challenge Jay White for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So again, I don't know why Taguchi is competing in a heavyweight championship tournament when he's a junior heavyweight.
I think this was brought up in a previous tournament by Naito, where he kind of called out the organization like, you have guys in here who are supposed to be, it's supposed to be a tournament made up of the best, and here you just have like filler people. Like, why would you do that? I think it's the same thing here with Taguchi.
Yeah,
he's not even in the same weight class.
Yeah,
or
Will Ospreay for that.
Yeah,
matter.
or Will Ospreay for that matter.
I know he's borderline about to turn heavyweight, but he's still a junior heavyweight technically.
Yeah, so
I love seeing him in there.
Also, the young lion Umino. He, if I'm not mistaken, he is not a heavyweight. So
and he's a young lion.
Yeah,
with all due respect to young lions, that's a gimme match for Tanahashi.
Maybe this is New Japan's way of transitioning under the new regime. But right now it doesn't make too much sense to us here.
I mean, if you look at Tanahashi's bracket, he's got Umino, and then he's got the winner of Tenzan and Taguchi. So he could be facing back-to-back junior heavyweights to go to the quarterfinals. It doesn't seem like a great ride for somebody like Tanahashi, who you're kind of missing opportunities to put him in high-profile matches, whether he's going to win the tournament or not. His first real test will come in the quarterfinals against Ibushi, Naito, Evil, or Zack Sabre Jr. But yeah, it just kind of seems kind of silly in some of the cases. I mean, I get you have a 32-person roster, but Jesus Christ, like nobody from Rev Pro was available. Nobody from CMLL was available. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like you could have planned this a little bit better.
As far as I know, Taguchi was put into the tournament as a replacement for David Finlay, who got hurt.
Okay,
but
that makes sense.
Still, like there's other people that you could have put in there besides Taguchi. So I don't understand why they didn't do that. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, David Finlay got hurt on the March 6th show, which was their 47th anniversary show against the. Oh no, I take that back. I'm sorry. That was the second night of Honor Rising.
Okay.
He got hurt in a tag match. It was him and Juice Robinson against the Briscoe brothers for the ROH World Tag Team Championships, and he took quite a physical bump onto the mat on his bad shoulder, and immediately just basically said he was done. He didn't even get up off the mat after that. That's why he got pulled out of the New Japan Cup. This is the first year they're doing 32 participants as opposed to the traditional 16.
Right.
Again, pretty much a transitional year for these guys, and they're trying to still go with a more global brand, and this is one of the ways they're doing it. The second round starts on March 13th for those keeping track. So by the time you hear this, the whole first round will be over, said and done with.
So going back to my original question, do you have a favorite? Putting you on the spot already.
Well, there's one more thing we have to say too here is traditionally the winner of the cup gets to face whatever champion they choose.
Of heavyweight, it's usually still a heavyweight tournament.
Usually.
Yeah, because last year it was you had an opportunity for the 3 heavyweight titles or the never openweight championship.
Right. And this year, they are basically stating that whoever wins is going to face Jay White for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So there's really no... you don't get your choice.
Right.
You do get a title shot, though. With that being said, I already don't like the potential avenue that Tanahashi is going to be facing. Unless they're trying to put Umino over as a young lion.
Think he gets that surprise victory?
I hope so, because quite honestly, I'm tired of Tanahashi and the old man that he has become. So
I would love to see, and I usually don't like saying this about New Japan, but I would love to see some kind of shenanigans, because let's face facts. Tanahashi and Jay White are not done.
No, they're not.
I had this conversation with somebody who's trying to get into New Japan, and this is going to be one of the. This is a really important thing, because I told this guy that he kind of represents a lot of the American audience. You know, New Japan is very sport-like company, not necessarily the entertainment, and like they like that. They love that kind of wrestling, but there's like, man, I wish there was a little more storytelling sometimes. And I get that, and I think that's where they're gonna hit a wall a little bit if they're not careful when it comes to westernizing your product. Is the storytelling. Sometimes it's just not there. And like, I'm not saying go with this verbatim, but I mean, what a way to kind of enhance the drama between champion and potential challenger. You know, let's say you do get the young lion over, but it's not necessarily clean. You know, you can have yourself a great match. I'm not saying take that away from the kid, but as far as the finish goes, yeah, you don't want to do it all the time, but like if you, let's say Jay White comes in and causes Tanahashi the match and stakes his claim that Tanahashi's not going to get a shot at the title, and then that's it, and call it a day. And so it's not as black and white as, oh, Tanahashi's going to run through the young lion and he's going to run through either the older Tenzan or the junior heavyweight Taguchi. You know, something like that. I'm not saying that's the answer, but it's a very plain and boring road, with all due respect to those 3 other guys, for Tanahashi, because it's just too obvious.
Yeah. Right now, it looks very obvious that he's going to get past Umino, and then either Tenzan or Taguchi. Because I honestly don't see them pushing Tenzan in this tournament.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Or Taguchi. Again, because he's... I see Tenzan beating Taguchi in the first round. And then Tenzan, you know, he's one of those guys at this point in his career, with all due respect, you don't like to talk about guys like that in this manner, but he's kind of filler at this point.
Yeah, but and then by that logic, you also have Kojima, who's of that caliber.
Right.
You know, he's definitely a storied, honored heavyweight, but let's face it, he's just filler.
Yeah.
You also have Yuji Nagata. Again, filler.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of that, it seems, that's shaping up in this tournament. And even to like a lesser extent, even Hiroki Goto could be labeled as such. I don't think he gets past Sonata in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, Goto would definitely be the lesser of the evils, but yeah, he's, at this point, it's, you know, he's pretty much going to be never openweight champion or nothing else.
I also see Colt Cabana as the same, you know, again, storied and honored, but let's face it, he's just here for a one and done. I don't think he beats Makabe.
No, I don't see him beating Makabe. I don't see Toru Yano at this point beating David Boy Smith Jr.
Yeah.
You know, and then between Makabe and Smith Jr., you know, that's a little closer, but I don't know, the way that it looks like, I got Sonata going, you know, winning that bracket down there and getting himself to the quarterfinals at the very least. I mean, actually, if that's the case, I got him actually would go to the semifinals. All right, not necessarily the semifinals, the quarterfinals for sure.
Okay.
Semifinals would be a little tougher because you still got guys like potentially Tanahashi, Naito, Ibushi, Evil, which that would be interesting, having those two face each other. And then Sabre Jr., which I would love to see that rematch. Because I think those guys need to go in one more time at least. But yeah, this is. I love the fact that they enhanced the field, but like this is where it becomes confusing. You do partnerships with 3 other companies. Colt Cabana was the only guy.
Yeah, like where
in
the
Ring
hell?
of Honor?
Yeah,
You know?
I don't get it.
Like Ring of Honor is not doing anything right now. Like you couldn't get anybody else. Nobody else was available. You couldn't go get. Oh shit! Help me out here. They're the television champion right now.
Oh, Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb. You couldn't get Jeff Cobb to come in here and at least work a match or two. I'm not saying he was going to win the tournament, but it's really fucking interesting that they're sticking with the they went really deep into the roster where you didn't have to. There's guys in CMLL you could have done business with. There's guys in Rev Pro you could have done business with. I mean, Rev Pro is the closest out of all 3 companies to Japan. And you got nobody on that roster, and it's really interesting that they chose to go that route.
You know what? I didn't mean to take the piss out of this tournament, but now that I've done that, you know what? I'm gonna say Zack Sabre Jr.
You think Zack Sabre Jr. runs the table again?
I think Zack Sabre Jr. runs the table again, and what a hell of a match we would have for Madison Square Garden.
I agree. Now, going back to taking the piss out of it, I do want to say this. My issue is going 32, which is great, but not having a full roster. Like, I get it. Not everybody is going to be, a huge fan favorite to win it all. That's kind of how it works. But your goal is to make it interesting as much as you possibly can. With that being said, you look forward to the quarterfinals. That's where it's really that's where the meat's at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because you could have had an opportunity to have more meat in the earlier rounds instead of waiting to the quarterfinals. Because if that was the case, to just have the quarterfinals, and then bet on
call it a day.
Call it a day. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunities. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Will Ospreay. Again, he's not technically a heavyweight, but I don't put him in the same category as Taguchi and Umino. Like, he is a legit player. I can see him beating Bad Luck Fale in the first round. I can see him, if he gets past Fale, he's got Hinare and Archer. I can see him doing that. And then if that's the case again, then you would have Hikuleo, Nichols, Elgin, or Okada. That's where it gets interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially see another Ospreay versus Okada match, which that's more likely what's going to happen. Okada going to the quarterfinals. But yeah, it's there's room to play with as far as some good matches. Like, we're not trying to tell you don't watch the New Japan Cup, but it's unfortunate that you have kind of some dog matches. The one we're watching right now, Chase Owens and Juice Robinson, I'm excited about this one.
I am.
Two legit guys who actually could have a shot. I see neither one of these guys winning it, but it's you don't know, and it's an actual legit thing instead of having a young lion, a junior heavyweight, or a much older wrestler who's well past his prime. Because in Japan, same thing with Mexico, a lot of guys wrestle into their 50s. Doesn't mean that they're going to be champion unless you're Hiroshi Tanahashi. but they're still around. They're still around. They still have some fun with it, but they're not really legit players to win championships and tournaments and stuff like that. These two guys, Owens and Robinson, are legit contenders, and I would hope that Owens gets some more respect amongst the wrestling industry because he is such a fucking workhorse in that ring.
That he is. And speaking of storyline here with New Japan, again, I agree with Matt. I'm not telling you to not watch this, and I will add one more statement to it, and that is, for as much, fantasy booking and just like working through these brackets that we've done here in the past couple minutes, they always seem to surprise the hell out of you when you least expect it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Make it interesting, and hopefully they do that again. I mean, they've been on such a great roll over the past couple years. It's hard to sit and think like they would all of a sudden lose their booking prowess. That something like that just doesn't fall out of your lap overnight. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried one bit. It's just I agree with Matt. If you're going to enhance the field to 32 participants, make it a little less obvious that you don't have shit.
Yeah.
In the first round,
Even if it's just a little bit of reshuffling.
Yeah.
That could have helped. I still would have said no. Like have certain guys leave and insert other guys. But if you had to have this, an example would be Nakanishi versus Hanma in the first round, because those two guys were like Nakanishi not so much because he was fighting Yoshihashi and they kind of treat Yoshihashi like a jobber.
Yeah.
But like with Hanma versus Taichi, like I had Taichi 98% chance of winning that match against Hanma. It's just like it was too obvious. Ishii versus Nagata. I got Ishii winning against Nagata. Nagata doesn't win these tournaments. He's just
he's just there.
He's just there. He's just there. Pretty much there. He's just there to have fun at this point. Like, he's not there to be a top champion. I know he last year had the All Japan title for a while, but I mean, he's not there to win New Japan Cups or G1s and all this stuff. So stop putting him in there.
Yeah.
I know he doesn't do the G1 anymore, but it's like, just stop doing it. There's no more of it. Couple things in New Japan before we shift gears here. Interesting thing that we saw today. He looked familiar. I had to clarify who it was. El Phantasmo is coming to New Japan, specifically the Bullet Club. I don't know if my partner, are you familiar with his work?
Very little.
You're gonna like what you see. He is fucking fantastic. I love him. He does a lot of UK-based stuff. Obviously, Rev Pro, which is a company that New Japan works a lot with. I watched him a lot in Defiant Wrestling as well. By the way, Defiant Wrestling, catch them on YouTube every Sunday. That show is free for you to watch every Sunday afternoon. And it's live. It's not live, it's a tape show, but when the UK gets it, you get it. So
yeah,
it's 3 Eastern, 2 Central. YouTube, check it out. They got monthly pay-per-views. Really good price. We don't get paid to promote them. I just really love them and want everybody else to give them a shot too. But yeah, he's been on there too. He's now a member of the Bullet Club. A little interesting because he wasn't necessarily always known to be a bad guy. And now he's coming to obviously a heel group.
Yeah.
No matter what Tama calls them, but they're good guys. Interesting. And then a little bit on a sadder note, but we knew it was coming. The retirements of Juice and Thunder Liger. What can you say about Liger? I know we don't have enough time.
No, we don't. I was fortunate enough to see him one time.
Yep.
And that was at War of the Worlds Ring of Honor a few years ago. And I am forever appreciative of Jushin Thunder Liger, my top Japanese wrestler like ever.
Yeah.
And he had a match against the Bone Soldier from the Bullet Club for the Junior Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
A couple nights ago, early March, and he put on one hell of a match. And he's one of those guys. This could be said about a lot of the Japanese roster, where they do wrestle into their 50s and they do have a quite the longevity in them.
Yeah.
But there aren't many that can do it at the level that Liger has done it. And I think it speaks volumes.
Yeah, definitely.
For him to have that kind of a match with a junior heavyweight champion and be able to do it at that level. It was such a fucking great, entertaining match. And he is still as quick as ever. I know that's kind of hard to believe that I'm talking about someone in the sport of professional wrestling who's 50 plus and can move quick like that. But if you don't believe me, check out the match for yourself. It was a great fucking match. And thank you. Thank you for everything.
I personally haven't watched that match, as I told Joe before we started recording, that I'm quite behind on New Japan. That's going to be a project that I'm going to be spending a good chunk of March tackling, maybe even going into April because of the New Japan Cup and other wrestling stuff that's I need to catch up on. But yeah, to hear that Liger has retired, it is a little surreal because he's just always been there. You know, he's been wrestling before I was even born. So it kind of show you the longevity of Liger, and you're absolutely right. Like it's even though you know obviously you compare Liger, 2018 to 2008 or 1998, it's not the same, but it's just like, oh man, his level of matches continue to be at a pace that guys sometimes half his age can't do. And it's unbelievable. We saw that earlier this year, you and I, with Ultimate Dragon. It's just like, how do you, man, the incredible shape that these guys are in. It's great. And, with me being gone, I didn't get to say, my piece on Takashi Iizuka as well. He's also retired.
Yes.
Amazing career as well. Both those guys, especially with all due respect to Iizuka, Liger, because I'm the same boat. Top Japanese wrestler, top one of the top wrestlers for me of all time. Period. Thank you doesn't even begin to express my gratitude. So, happy retirement, both those guys, and the wrestling world definitely has lost two great competitors. But man, they decades worth of so much work between the two of those guys that it has helped transition wrestling, and in this case, especially New Japan Pro Wrestling, to where it is today. But I think I have an answer to you. I think I have an answer for you, I should say, to why Jushin Thunder Liger has able to compete the level that he's been able to compete at.
Stem cells.
But more importantly here, because wrestling is fucking fake.
Oh no.
You like that transition?
I did. That was pretty smooth.
Yeah, we are no longer talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. Get yourself a subscription through us. Support the show, please and thank you.
And if you do it now, you'll get to watch the entirety of the New Japan Cup for free. The entirety
of the New Japan Cup, and as well as the plethora of great stuff that's on there. They have a great, I saw a little bit of it, package of King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, King Kong Bundy. I'm sure, obviously, King Kong Bundy has passed. Also, more than likely, they will also have a collection available for the one and only Dick Beyer, who we also recently lost, who was Dr. X and also the original Destroyer, so who did extensive work in Japan. So I'm pretty sure they'll have something up there for him as well.
Absolutely. To go back to, before we transition over here real quick, Two guys that definitely transformed the business. I got to say this about King Kong Bundy real quick. He never, I don't want to say never, but he rarely got the respect that he deserved for what he did for a lot of the baby faces of his era.
Very true. Very true.
He was the big man. Obviously, he was the bad guy, but man, he was the guy that would get those baby faces over, and it was such a work of art watching him do his thing.
It kills me too because whether I'd like to admit this or not, one of the only guys who saw that potential in him was Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
and Hulk Hogan was like, I have to work with him and make it something main event, and Bundy did just that.
Yeah,
I mean that was seminal footage for me growing up. Was the Saturday night's main event and the events leading up to their cage match.
Yeah,
for the title. I mean that's classic fucking WWF. No matter who you talk to,
right?
And wrestling is a dance, and it takes two.
Yeah,
always takes two, and at that point in time, that was Bundy. Bundy was helping get Hogan over, whether you like it or not. That's what happened, and I think it speaks volumes about just how effective and masterful he was at his craft.
Just with the thanks of the WWE Network, which, by the way, you can get through us.
Absolutely.
20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network. All one word. And first 30 days are free. Support the show. Get yourself WWE Network. And watch what I'm about to talk about. Go back and watch his work in World Class Championship Wrestling.
Yes, please.
I got introduced to that more so because obviously I'm not a product of the 80s, and I have to rely on older footage. And I watched so much of World Class stuff for a number of reasons. But man, I really got a look at what King Kong Bundy was doing down there, and my God, he just understood the business, and he was okay with essentially getting his ass beat by the good guy in the end. And because that was the business that he was in, and he knew how to fucking do it. And I would hate for anybody that loves the business like we do, or remotely likes the business like we do, to let that go unnoticed. Because man, he was definitely one of the best heels that wrestling has ever seen. So rest in peace to both of those guys. Two more guys that will be greatly missed in the wrestling business. Back to the transition, because now we got to talk about somebody that isn't really worth much in the wrestling business.
Boy.
Yeah. I'll start off with the. Let me get my dates right here. The March 4th episode of Raw.
Okay.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, I believe so.
The previous episode, we saw Ronda Rousey lay down the Raw Women's Championship because she wasn't getting her match with Becky Lynch, or Becky Lynch wasn't going to be added to her match. It was a good promo. I finally watched it. It was a good promo. It's good, good piece of work done finally by her. And it was interesting to see where they go with it the following week. So the following week, they announced that at Fastlane is going to be Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch for the now vacant Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch had, I forget the name of the document, but she had us come out and sign this document. Basically, a disclaimer of that she was not going to sue the WWE for any injuries that might happen. Again, this is all a work, obviously, ladies and gentlemen. So Becky Lynch comes out, she signs it, everything's good to go, the match is going to happen. And then Ronda Rousey, who was shown at the going into the final commercial break for Raw, she's in the building, and then she eventually comes out, and she goes to Stephanie, like, what are you doing? Give me my title back, all this stuff. And Stephanie does. So instead, the match is made. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. This time it is for the inclusion of Becky Lynch if Becky Lynch can beat Charlotte Flair. So the title is no longer vacant. It is back around Ronda Rousey's waist. And then Ronda Rousey gets on the mic and she starts berating the crowd. I forget where she's at.
Philly.
Is it Philly? Okay. Interesting crowd to rile up. Because we got a lot of love for Philly. She's berating the crowd, and she's upset about she got booed out of the Staples Center, which is her hometown, and then she goes on to say, "Damn the man, screw the woo." And no more Mrs. Nice Bitch. And then kicks Charlotte Flair in the gut, and then goes on to beat the living hell out of Becky Lynch, which was actually pretty decent. There was a couple parts where that armbar was actually locked in. Somebody needs to go back and remind her that don't do that. Doesn't matter who you are. If you know how to lock in an armbar, like you could hyperextend somebody's arm.
Yeah.
She's definitely doing a WrestleMania anytime soon. That part, the physical part, I liked. I'm going to stick him with Raw for right now. The physical aspect of it was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't mind the heel turn because, let's face facts, you got to do something with this chick because she is not over with the crowd. They're not buying into her lazy wrestling style anymore, or these I don't want to say 5 second, but these 1 minute matches anymore. It is not believable. What I hated was everything that she said, because it was very whiny. It was interesting too because that night Triple H cut a promo on Batista, basically talking him down about how he gets whiny when he doesn't get what he wants out of the crowd. And then an hour later, Ronda Rousey is whiny because she's not getting what she wants out of the crowd. But that whole "damn the man, screw the woo" thing, which is now a fucking t-shirt, by the way.
Oh, of course.
Multiple t-shirts.
Yeah.
It was like, who wrote this shit? And I'm thinking to myself, Bruce Pritchard's back.
Well, and now we can't just blame it on him now because they do have another addition to the writing staff. And if I'm not mistaken, he's the head of the writing staff. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Refresh my memory.
The one and only Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, that's right. That is right. I did see an article on that.
So
there should be some good TV coming up, huh?
Oh, boy.
I can see Jeff Jarrett world champion by SummerSlam.
He's got Rousey's title.
Yeah, let me tell you, slap nuts something.
Oh, good God.
Oh, man. But yeah, I hated what she said. And then again, I hate how she said it. Somebody needs to get Ronda Rousey and tell her, slow the fuck down in your promos. You were talking way too fast. I get you're supposed to be intense and pissed off, but slow the hell down, because I can't understand what you're saying. I didn't know what she said at first. I didn't catch it. I heard something about a man. I heard screw the woo, and then I had no more Mrs. Nice, and then she kicked Charlotte. Finish your fucking words before you start throwing shit around.
It kills me here because probably the biggest statement out of her. Well, we're sticking to Raw
for now.
Yeah, for now.
I mean, you can segue whenever you want.
Well, she came out and she has her own web show.
Yeah,
that she does on her YouTube channel.
That's what it was for. Okay.
Yeah, and so there was an episode that she had filmed after that Raw, which showed footage from that Raw, and she's essentially kind of taking in Philadelphia. She goes and has cheesesteaks,
okay,
and all this other bullshit. But at the end of the
people need to see that.
Yeah, of course. At the end of the video runs about 11.5 minutes. Towards the end of the video, someone is asking her questions about being in wrestling in general.
Right.
And she goes on to basically talk shit about the wrestling industry.
Right.
And Becky Lynch. Well, she doesn't even call Becky Lynch Becky Lynch. She calls her Rebecca Quinn, which is her real name.
Okay. Breaking the fourth wall there.
Yeah. And she says quite a few things, but I think the most important thing out of the promo she cut on her own little web show was that she's tired of taking commands from, the bookers and such.
Yeah.
And she's tired of having to hear what they say and all the critiques, and that wrestling is fake, it's scripted, and she doesn't care about breaking kayfabe.
Yeah. She makes fun of the fact, don't break kayfabe.
Yeah, don't break kayfabe.
Yeah.
Since that little diatribe of hers, you've had Becky Lynch come out on Twitter and respond to it. Charlotte Flair came out on Twitter, which I liked her. I liked her response better than Becky Lynch's, because Charlotte Flair basically said, "Hey, someone needs to remind this lady that the last 2 times she was in an octagon, she woke up from being unconscious and she was sobbing in the ring, or in the octagon." So, but then you had Rusev chime in.
I love that. I love Rusev out of nowhere.
And so but you know what? It's kind of par for the course when someone attacks sports entertainment on this level. You do see them band together and they all respond. The same thing happened with bringing Hogan back before he came back. You had all those sports entertainers chime in on Twitter and social media about whether they liked it or they didn't. And so I guess that's good to see some unity in the roster, but at the same time, someone needs to figure some shit out with Ronda Rousey. So, for all intent and purposes, her last contractually obligated appearance is the night after WrestleMania. There's multiple reports saying that she's not coming back. And I, for one, absolutely fucking love that idea. If you don't want to be there, you're tired of getting paid by this company who's paying you some absorbent amount of money,
right,
for you to go in there and produce, and you're not doing it. You're refusing to do it now. Why? Because you're not getting over with the crowd how you want to get over. I'm sorry, you don't get to walk into any organization, sports entertainment or otherwise, and just demand to be over with a fucking crowd. That's something that you have to accomplish yourself through hard work and perseverance. It just doesn't come to you. Like, no, even the most natural of fucking heels still has to work at it. Even the most natural of baby faces still has to work at it. So I don't understand where she gets off at all. And that's what I have a problem with.
Let me ask you this, because I have some things I have to say. Your opinion, was this a shoot or was this a work? This whole thing.
I think to be honest with you, I think it's a mix.
I agree.
I think it's a mix because, let's face it, if I'm probably going to say a lot of things right now that people are going to hate, but I don't care.
Hey, I'm the heel.
I think it's part shoot, part work, and the reason I say that is because, one, you have Ronda Rousey, who's legitimately fed up with being a sports entertainer.
There's no doubt about that. Yes.
So we had that's out in the open now.
Yes.
She doesn't want to do it anymore, but she's contractually obligated to wrestle for another month or so.
Yeah.
So she is going to have that attitude, especially if she's leaving, to where she's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then what can WWE Creative do other than to play damage control at this point?
Yeah.
And let's face it, I hate Jeff Jarrett. And I know
I didn't know that.
And I know I'm gonna sound biased as shit right now, but him Bruce Pritchard and whoever else they have currently working for them as part of the creative roster, which I think now, if I'm not mistaken, is Dana Warrior.
Oh, that's right.
So you have them three plus whatever other chefs are in the fucking kitchen there, trying to hammer out WWE creative.
That's one shitty kitchen.
It is one shitty kitchen. So it's like, what could they possibly do other than play damage control?
Yeah.
Let her do what she can, and we're gonna make the most of it. I think they're doing it out of necessity, but I think that's the smartest play they have right now.
Yeah.
Just play damage control. Let her say what she's got to say. If it gets a little too real in the ring and people have to take a few bruises and cuts, it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah.
As long as she's not legitimately like breaking somebody's arm or whatnot to the point where you're affecting, a future card or someone's career.
Right.
Let it happen. Hopefully they get the most out of it and it still becomes must-see TV.
I agree with the mixed. It's a mix. Because
and also one other thing. Ronda Rousey, I'm sorry. You're not smart enough to handle this as a complete shoot. And you've already proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're not smart enough to handle this as a complete work.
Do you remember what pay-per-view we were watching and Ronda Rousey starts yelling at the crowd in the middle of the match, like, "Oh, I can't wrestle. I'm going to show you what wrestling is," or something like that. This was sometime last year, I believe.
Yeah, it was like, I want to say Survivor Series.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense, and that's because it was in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Survivor Series was in Los Angeles. That's why I can say this to where it's a mixture of both, because I agree it is damage control. And you have somebody that clearly isn't getting their way, feels that she should be entitled to be liked, to be cheered.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. At least that's the way it's coming across, as some sort of sense of entitlement.
I mean, we get it, Rhonda. You are a world-class athlete. We've talked about that on the show. I'm not going to list your credentials anymore because look it up online. They exist. She's obviously one of the best to exist. First female, UFC Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
for a reason.
I'm not trying to take any of that away from her.
Exactly. I'm not either. You've earned that. But this is the wrestling industry. So if wrestling is fucking fake, well, why can't you get over? Well, because you're not believable. That's the thing. You're not believable. Nobody is going to give a fuck beyond, let's say, the first month or two that you are the baddest woman on the planet, which isn't even fucking true. Amanda Nunes would have something to say about that. She knocked your ass out in the first round, by the way. Besides that, you haven't shown that you're on par with a Charlotte Flair or a Becky Lynch or a Sasha Banks, who again out-wrestled you in their beer pay-per-view match. Asuka, which I don't think they've fought. Have they? I don't remember.
No, I don't think so.
But you're not on par with them. You can sit there and tell your believers all you want that I can beat them up and beat their fucking ass or whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that in the wrestling industry. What can you do inside of a 20-by-20 ring that is better than at minimum the four women that I just mentioned? Nothing. So that is why you're getting booed, because you're getting what essentially would be the Brock Lesnar approach. If Brock Lesnar was there all the fucking time, you would get fucking booed. Nobody wants to see you because you're not as good as them, but yet you're being told, or I'm sorry, the audience is being told every single week that you are, when you are showing inside that ring that you have no idea what you're doing. It's not rocket science.
No.
It isn't. I mean, you put in the work or you don't. It's the same thing of being an MMA fighter or a Muay Thai fighter, an Olympian. You got to put in the fucking work.
Yeah, you wouldn't train for a month and then decide you're going to go take on the current heavyweight champ.
Yeah.
Or what have you.
Right.
No, it takes quite a while of preparation, both physically and mentally. And it's the same with professional wrestling or sports entertainment.
This is the problem with bringing in celebrities, because that's what she is, a celebrity. You know, I had this argument earlier last year with WrestleMania. Oh, she's going to bring in ESPN, she's going to bring in Forbes, she's going to bring in all these companies. Okay, great, fine. WrestleMania did well. What about the following pay-per-views when she's now a full-time wrestler, or even worse, she's your champion? She can't do anything. You know, because ESPN is going to cover something that's worthwhile. So is Forbes. So is all the other companies. They don't give a shit about the longevity of pro wrestling. So what does that leave you? Pro wrestling fans. And pro wrestling fans are like, get the fuck out of here. You could be mad at them all you want, but the only person that you should be mad at, Rhonda, is yourself. Because you put yourself in that situation, as well as the WWE, but the WWE always does shit like this. You put yourself in that situation by not putting in the work. You know, you're learning the basics and you're thinking you're a fucking main eventer. It doesn't work that way. You know, and it speaks volumes that you're getting booed out of your own hometown. And this is another reason why I think, you know, this is not, you know, a complete work, because the way that she went into detail on the whole Los Angeles situation. How dare they boo you out of your own venue? You know that people from Los Angeles are fake and they have plastic surgery and whatever else she said. And
I remember one of the things she said was, a lot of people who live in LA are essentially people just trying to move away from their shitty lives in Ohio.
Yeah.
And then she asks him, like, oh, you know, or she said, oh, you know, I've lived in LA for 10 years, and that's supposed to make you someone who's from LA, you know?
Yeah, it's just like, shut the fuck up. You know, but it's this is the thing too. Like Ronda Rousey, when she doesn't get her way, she kind of just shuts down, and we saw that in MMA. I remember you told me off air last week about MMA fighters, and essentially, you know, you have to win or you basically you're nothing.
There's a lot of that mentality that goes into their training, and we see, you know, she isn't just the only one who has come out previous and talked about, you know, possibly self-harming after a loss. It seems to be that's part of their culture, where they do get trained like that. Like, you either have to be number one or you're nothing. Right,
and that's fair to say, but I don't necessarily put that into that category anymore, seeing what she is here. She just seems like somebody that has to be essentially getting her way all the time, or she shuts down. And that's kind of what's happening here, is that she's going to be an overpaid person that completely shuts down. You know, you couldn't hack it in MMA anymore, you shut down and you left. Because at the end of the day, that's what you did. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you admitted that Amanda Nunes was better than you and you couldn't beat her. And you don't have to come out and say, oh, Amanda Nunes, I can't beat her. But you admitted to yourself you couldn't beat her, and if you can't be a champion, then you don't want to be in UFC anymore. Fine. You know, that seems like self-revelation to me. There's nothing wrong with being able to admitting that, because nobody can beat Amanda Nunes right now. Unless she loses her next fight now. But again, this whole whining and entitlement of having to have everything the way what you want it to be just doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's better for everybody if you just go and find something else. Go fucking make shitty movies, you know, if that's what you want. But the thing is, there too, people are still going to critique your shit. Not everybody's going to like your movies. I just call them shitty. You know, it's like, you're going to bitch about that too? Well, Hollywood's fucking fake. Yeah, no shit. Like, you know, like, it just seemed like a grown woman that just couldn't handle life. And as far as the next thing I want to talk about is complete nonsense too. You hear it all the time as a wrestling fan. Oh, wrestling's fake. They're not real athletes. You're a fucking moron. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, wrestling is staged. I've said it on the show many times. It should be obvious for anybody that watches pro wrestling. We see it so many times when other athletes from other sports, including MMA, come into pro wrestling and they can't hack it.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it goes. You know, you go in there and I fought in the MMA and I couldn't pace myself right for a wrestling match. It's a different world. It's a different kind of athlete. You know, you're comparing, you know, for people that compare professional wrestling to mixed martial arts, you're a fucking moron. They're apples and oranges.
Yeah.
It's not the same type of athlete. You can't compare the two. It's like comparing a hockey player to a football player. There's similarities, but it's a totally different game.
Yeah.
You cannot do it. It's not going to be the same. There's a reason why there's not many people that have played multiple sports professionally in their careers. It's a really difficult thing to do. You know, and as far as calling it fake and all that shit, like, I mean, come on. Look at some of these high profile MMA fights. Look at these high profile boxing fights. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Are you going to sit there and tell me that Mayweather actually fought Conor McGregor in a legit fight? Because if you are, there's something wrong with you. There's just something wrong with you right now. It's a stupid comment to make, and there's really not much else to say about that. I'm glad that other wrestlers, you know, come out and defend each other on it, but it's unnecessary at this time. There's nothing to protect because pro wrestling is super huge. It's super over and in multiple companies. And no matter what some whiny bitch from California has to say about it, it's going to do just fine with or without her. So, as far as Ronda Rousey goes, that YouTube video, the one thing that why I feel that I know that it's I would say that for sure that is not 100% just her. It was the question at the end, you know, like or it wasn't really a question. The lady who was interviewing her mentioned you did your promo on Raw, and she cuts her off. It wasn't a promo. Like, they gave me other things to say, and I just didn't say it. So you came up with "damn the man, screw the woo."
Yeah.
I wouldn't admit to that. I'd be like, no, I'm mad at Jeff Jarrett. He said, like, I got something for you. You know, it's like, it was clearly a fucking promo. It was a terrible promo at that. And it was poorly executed as well. But, yeah, I agree. It was a mixture of both. I think it was designed to be what it was, but a lot of what she said was what she really felt. It's interesting, too, because, again, you have a grown-ass woman that is in her feelings and act like a professional. You're getting paid. You're getting paid.
They're paying you handsomely to do it, and you're refusing at this point. So, I will say this: it's definitely going to be interesting, especially when it comes to TV time now. If this truly is damage control, I think we're going to be in for some possibly decent segments on Raw and SmackDown or wherever she decides to show up.
Right.
In the next month. And, and definitely the night after WrestleMania will be one of some high interest now to see how exactly they utilize her or if they even utilize her. I do recommend, for those of you who want a little more value to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and NXT for that matter, maybe you have cut the cord and still want to watch stuff like this. You know, we've partnered up with Hulu, 20x20crew.com/podcast/Hulu. We'll get you 30 days for free, and then I believe a little credit after you sign up.
Yeah.
So support the show, and then catch up on your Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, which is something you don't get on the network, at least not right away. So
no,
and it's available the next day on Hulu. So
you know what you also get too? This is going to be a nice segue to it, real quick. You also get main event.
Oh, that's right.
Which is not it's an international show now, but they do air it every Thursday on Hulu, and that is where you can catch from now until hopefully until September. Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows.
Yes.
You like that? I'm doing good with segues today.
You're on the ball. I'm not on the ball tonight.
I've been practicing.
You're on the ball. It's good. At least one of us knows what the hell's going on. Yeah, for those who don't know, it has been reported that both Gallows and Anderson have turned down multi-million-dollar deals to stay with the WWE. And as of right now, they are looking to leave the company. Their contracts end in late September. At least that's what's being reported right now. I'm pretty sure Matt feels the same way that I do, and we can't wait. We can't wait. I believe what you told me earlier was it's like getting a Christmas gift.
It's like knowing you're getting a Christmas gift.
It's like knowing you're getting a Christmas gift in October, but you still have to wait till December 25th to get it. So I agree. Yeah. I can't wait. And it'll be interesting, too, to see who else leaves over the next year or so. I mean, we're still not out of the water with this whole AEW thing. And as long as they're willing to absorb certain talent, I could easily see a bunch of those guys leaving.
You asked the question, why did Anderson and Gallows leave New Japan to begin with? And that was to be closer to home. AEW changes the game for so many people because now you get both.
Yeah,
you get the legit wrestling show, and you can still be in the States. I'm assuming you get to work. Actually, I guarantee you'll be working less dates, and you get to be close to home. You get to stay within the United States. And if everything goes the way that Cody and Brandy Rhodes especially have been saying about people not necessarily being exclusive, you could be, you could see them potentially going to Japan for a tour or two if they choose to. Yeah. Reuniting the band every once in a while, you know what I mean? So it opens up so much stuff because the reason why I say that, anything at this point is going to be better than what they're doing now because you told me since, I forget the when.
Since September of 2018.
September of 2018. As of this recording, March of 2019.
They've only been on TV 4 times.
4 times.
In 2018. So...
How disrespectful.
So at least once a month from September 8th of 2018 through December. And then only once in 2019. And we're already in March. They're
not going to get pushed for WrestleMania.
No.
Especially now.
No.
Because now there's no point.
Yeah.
So like I said, get your Hulu subscriptions on us. Watch my main event because that's really the only way you're going to see them. Or if you go see their house shows. But, yeah, I mean... They're making a great amount of money, I'm sure. That's fine. They get to be closer to home. But like I said before, your careers go kind of nowhere. You really lose all the momentum that you had. Who is Luke Gallows? Who is Carl Anderson? Oh, they're those guys that kind of wrestle on WWE. Man, if you would have known them before that. Carl Anderson was a legit player. Carl Anderson was a guy that had he stayed, I truly felt would have been IWGP heavyweight champion before Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that's a definite.
He was getting pushed so heavy, and really AJ Styles was kind of the guy that kind of got in the way of that. And I don't think Carl Anderson minds that because he got to work with AJ Styles. But like when Carl Anderson, when Kenny Omega, when AJ Styles left, yeah, Kenny Omega took over as a leader, but it looked very much like Carl Anderson being the guy. And man, like the level of matches that he was putting on were just unbelievable. And then him and Gallows together as a tag team out there too, just unbelievable stuff that they were able to do. So that's great news. And again, Pandora's box has been open, and it's really interesting to see where things are happening. So where people are going to go and things of that nature. And again, I know a lot of people still have their issues about AEW. Look, Their first show isn't until May 25th. Get the fuck over it. Like that's what they. Oh, I don't care about their t-shirt company until proven otherwise. Like they announced the show.
They announced the show.
It's gonna be
sold
May
out in
25th.
less than 4 minutes.
You know, the show's happening.
Yeah,
Just fucking chill. Like,
it's all in all over again.
yeah.
You know, we've been through this already. It's going to happen, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Exactly. And whether you like it or not, as always, we gotta pay bills and help support the show. So we're gonna take a quick break, quick timeout. More wrestling talk afterwards. Stay tuned.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hey, think you can tell us what to do?
I can't tell you what to do.
You think you can tell us what to wear?
I can't tell you what to wear.
Think that you're better?
Hell no, I'm not better.
Well, you better get ready.
But I am smarter.
Bow to the masters.
I'll bow to the masters over at Raise. Raise will hook you up with all kinds of discounted gift cards for your favorite places to eat, for your favorite places to shop online and in store. They have any place you could possibly think of, and they even have discounts on ride-sharing services like Lyft and Uber in case you guys need to make it to a show. So hop on over and support the show. Support your 20x20 crew. Visit us for more information on Raise and discounted gift cards over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/raise. That's RAISE. 20x20crew.com/podcast/raise. And we got 2 words for you. Save money!
And we are back. Thanks for sticking around while we pay some bills. We just got done shortly before we went on break. We were talking about a certain shitty female wrestler, and I want to segue. Is that word again?
Whoa. Sports entertainer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. She doesn't deserve that. The W word. We are doing this. I know we usually don't tell people when we're recording this, but I think it's. We were talking about this topic during our break about women wrestling, and I think it's important to note that we're actually talking about this on International Women's Day.
Oh yeah.
So that's one reason why I bring up when we're recording this. Shouts out to all the women out there, and especially in the wrestling business, for being a wrestling podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Women's wrestling has definitely taken a whole new shape over the past 5+ years or so, for the better. They are no longer subjected to being objectified. They are talent. One of the things that I'm going to be partaking on April 20th in South Bend, Indiana, I'm going to see Jordan Grace go 1-on-1 against Nick Gage.
Holy shit, man.
That's happening. You talking about a steel line here, a slobber knocker. That one right there is definitely one. And we've seen women, put on great matches amongst themselves. We've seen women put on great matches against other men. One of them, my favorite from 2018, I've talked about it on the show. Timothy Thatcher versus Tony Storm.
Yeah.
Hell of a match from was it Beyond Wrestling?
Yeah, Beyond Wrestling.
Yeah, during WrestleMania weekend last year. You were telling me something that I didn't know, and it actually doesn't involve a woman directly, but it does involve women, and so bear with me on this one. We all know at this point Kenny Omega has signed with All Elite Wrestling. He was the hottest free agent in professional wrestling, and he is going to AEW. There were numerous reasons why he left Japan, but here's one that I didn't know, and you care to tell everybody out there?
Throughout his tenure in New Japan, he was always one to push the envelope for that company, and they won. he wanted to be part of the vision of their growth. They wanted to become a more westernized, more global brand, and expand at a gigantic pace. And while he was all for it, they are steeped in tradition and a certain style of wrestling, and it is hard after so many years of success and survival through the wrestling industry. I could see where it's hard for them to want to move and change, but he was semi-successful in helping this along. I mean, because of Kenny Omega, we got to see the first ever ladder match in New Japan.
I just rewatched that.
You know,
not that long ago. Hell of a match
between him and Michael Elgin.
A rare three-way match.
Yes, the three-way match for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
Between himself, Kota Ibushi, and
which
Cody.
was the second time it's only ever been done since 1972.
Yeah, put that in perspective, ladies and gentlemen.
So you have him trying to help the company by doing these things, and apparently one of the reasons he did not return to New Japan and decided to go work for All Elite Wrestling, they turned him down when he brought up the notion of having women wrestle in New Japan. I find that really, really interesting, but to be honest with you, I'm not surprised that while they were willing to bend on a ladder match,
yeah,
I could see where they would be all about a hard no when it came to the opposite sex. New Japan Pro Wrestling has never been about women or women wrestling, and let's face it, they are in Japan, where Japanese women are seen wholly and mostly as submissive.
Yeah.
And so that's just ingrained in their culture to a point where it's just not going to be a thing for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And while I respect their culture and their decision, I don't agree with it. I think to be fair and honest, you have to include women in professional wrestling, and why wouldn't you want to? Is my gripe here, especially Japanese women's wrestling. I mean, you have a certain few promotions that are above and beyond most, but I can remember watching, FMW footage from like 1997 where you had hardcore matches involving like picks and sickles and axes and shit, where they were cutting each other open, without any warning. They were having death matches. So, to me, the argument from New Japan is kind of null and void, where, they don't think there's a place for women's wrestling in their product. I beg to differ. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's few and far between that you see pretty much any kind of hardcore wrestling there, or, death matches and whatnot, but you have to be some sort of fucking mental and physically tough to survive one of those fucking matches, let alone partake in one.
Right.
You have, whole organizations that do that in Japan, whether they be female or otherwise. You mean to tell me that these individuals are not qualified enough to wrestle in a strong style promotion? It really doesn't add up. And that's all I really want to say about that. I'm not going to go into, the obvious sexist, situation here with New Japan, but it definitely led to them not signing the hottest free agent in the entirety of professional wrestling in quite some time. It definitely played a factor. And now that I say this out loud, I'm wondering too if maybe that is also part of the reason that they initially refused to partner up with AEW.
Let's look at WWE real quick here. Let's look at, for one, their current, as of this recording, SmackDown Women's Champion. That's Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
Japanese wrestler. Let's look at somebody who won the very first Mae Young Classic, former NXT Women's Champion. Her name's Kairi Sane. She's a Japanese wrestler. And one of the biggest free agent signings that WWE had in 2018 was a woman named Io Shirai. And I don't know if you know that, but she's also a Japanese wrestler. You have crazy good talent coming from Japan that is coming to the United States to get over and showcase their talent on a bigger platform. Because let's face facts, out there you have World Wonder Ring Stardom, great promotion. They have a streaming service. I would highly recommend checking it out. But that's a very much independent company in comparison to New Japan, in comparison to Pro Wrestling Noah, another Japanese company. Like, it's a very independent company. So, if there's no business to be made in Japan because they're going to stay traditional, then they're going to come to the United States. And they're going to have their talent put on at WWE shows. Or, preferably, go to other companies like Mayu Iwatani, who is now the current Women of Honor champion. Another Japanese wrestler. Just in case you guys were keeping score here. You're a business. Isn't the idea to be successful? Now, women wrestling may or may not make or break New Japan, but certainly it's worth a shot to say, let's implement it and see how it does. Because at the very worst, if it doesn't work out, just don't do it anymore. Just pull it. Say, hey, we tried, it didn't work. Our audience isn't buying it. But you want to westernize your product, and you want more people from other countries. And it's not just the United States. You want more people from Mexico. They got women wrestlers down there. England. So a girl by the name of Toni Storm dominated the England market, as well as many other great English wrestlers. They're doing women wrestling. So if that's part of the audience you want to start attracting now, Kenny Omega might have been onto something. You know, traditions are great. I'm a traditional guy. I like traditions. Sometimes I'm a creature of habit, but admittedly, sometimes I'm too much of a creature of habit. That is what this situation is. They are a creature of habit, do the same thing over and over and over again, and expect it to work all the time, and it just doesn't. When you start doing things like, I don't know, letting a bunch of Gaijins run amok amongst your Japanese roster, by a little group called the Bullet Club, you change the face of your company. And that helped escalate the popularity of New Japan, because it's like, whoa, what are these Bullet guys? What are these Bullet Club guys from? Oh, they're product of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh, how do I get to watch that?
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, hey, we got Tetsuya Naito and Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi and his whiny ass. Like, we have all these guys. And it's like, it could be the same thing with women wrestling. It's like, oh, we have women wrestling. We also have this and that. You and I have worked in retail way too long.
Yeah.
We know how to the process of tying things in. Mm-hmm. We have this, but we also have this and this. And once we got you, man, our goal is to keep you. Hook, line, and sinker. Boom. Have a little bit of everything. The ultimate variety show. Being the same fucking thing over and over again is great for traditionalists, but traditionalists only make up a small percent of your audience. Your audience wants something innovative, wants something new. Nobody says break away from what brought you to the table, because that's what makes you different from everybody else. But it's everything else that you serve. Even if your entrees are roughly the same, it's everything you serve around it. It's the spices that you throw on those entrees. It's everything that it represents something new and innovative, and that you're willing to take everything to another level. You know, you did a ladder match. Great. That was years ago now. It was what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
We're going on 3 years ago almost. Do it again. You know what? Why haven't we seen a fucking cage in New Japan? How hard is that? But make a cage match. You know, the way that Tanahashi and Jay White's go right now, book that.
Yeah.
I don't think Tanahashi would be for it because, you know, he doesn't do shit like that. But why is it so wrong to put a woman wrestler, put them in your opening bout? Get a couple wrestlers, do a tag match, see how it works for a while, and if it works, then maybe consider making it a permanent part of your group. Because, you know, I know you didn't want to bring up the whole objectifying thing, but we can't mention New Japan without talking about the valets that exist in New Japan.
Yeah,
you know?
there are women valets.
I forget her name now, but the one that comes out with Yujiro Takahashi. I mean, her tired, you know, speaks volumes of how they feel women should look.
Yeah.
Same thing with Miho Abe, who comes out with Taichi. More clothes on, but very much your eye candy.
Mm-hmm.
That is all you are. And for them, maybe that's okay because they very much look like they are models and they're playing a role. And that's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But for everybody else that says, you know, I can be a wrestler, but companies like Pro Wrestling Noah and New Japan Pro Wrestling say, yeah, no, you can't. Well, the Japanese market is losing out on a growing success throughout professional wrestling. And it sucks. Because that could be a way to help incorporate them to another level, too. Is, oh, you want to see female wrestling? We have that as well.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think when they eventually do more bookings in the United States, do you see them outsourcing one or two women's matches on their cards to like one of their partners, like Ring of Honor, as part of the show?
Getting talent from them?
Yeah, and just doing it for the stateside stuff.
I still say no. I don't see them doing it.
No, not at all.
I mean, obviously, I think it's pretty clear that I feel they should, but no, I think that they still very much are set in their ways. I mean, shit, if this was a landing mark for Kenny Omega, that certainly wasn't a good enough reason to do it. Yeah. You know, so I mean, that'd be a good step in the right direction because it's low risk. You're in the States. You've made it clear that this is a United States show. So do, you know, Kelly Klein versus somebody,
yeah.
Jenny Rose or whoever, and call it a day. And if it gets a good buzz, do it again. Do it during the UK shows, do it during the Mexican shows. You know, and then if it continues to be to work, do it in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, take these Japanese female wrestlers before they leave for other countries and say, you know what, wrestle for us. It doesn't seem like a very complicated thing to do, but, you know, I get tradition. I know Japanese wrestling is a very traditional business that doesn't seem to want to evolve the way that other companies do, but in a wrestling world where there's so much competition out there nowadays, you know, you either evolve or you get left behind, you know. And unfortunately, it's not just this, but it's other decisions that New Japan has made to where they could easily get left behind if they're not careful.
Yeah.
And it sucks. You know what also sucks?
What? What sucks?
I have no more segues. How can I get a hold of us?
You guys can always find us on social media. Facebook.com/20x20crew is our main Facebook page. Come talk to us on Facebook. Facebook.com/groups/20x20talk. We'll get you our ear on Facebook. We're also available on Twitter. You can hate tweet us at 20x20crew on Twitter. We're also available on Instagram, instagram.com/20x20crew. We're also available on YouTube, our own YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button, 20x20.com/podcast/YouTube. That's all one word. And you'll find our YouTube exclusive content in the following contest. All the information is there, 20x20crew.com/podcast/YouTube. You can always email us, 20x20crew@gmail.com. And, of course, our home on the web, HQ as it were, is over at 20x20crew.com, where you can find all of our past episodes, bonus episodes, merch, and the like. And you can always find our sponsors, too. Help us support the show. All of our sponsors are there on the page, whether it be the WWE Network or Hulu or Fight TV, what have you. It's all there.
As always, ladies and gentlemen, continue to support professional wrestling. Again, it's International Women's Day, so shout out to all the women wrestlers out there. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
All the the evolving to what you have become. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Matt. He's been Joe. You've been fantastic, and then we'll see you next week. Until then, we will see you in the ring.